Welcome along to the Old Gold Club. I'm Mikey Burrows. Alongside me, as ever, is Chris Iwelumo, and we're joined on this episode by a man who made 235 appearances over 6 years, putting him joint 55th on the all-time appearance list. He also scored 13 goals as well, by the way. Welcome to the Old Gold Club, Joleon Patrick Lescott.
Thank you. Morning.
Welcome.
Yeah.
You're one of those people I've been trying to get on for a long time. I've been pestering you for a lot.
Yeah. And to be fair, it's not that I've not wanted to do it. We was saying to Looms earlier, like, everything has to revolve around the kids' schedule. Like, got 3 kids, so if it's not practical, I can't get back for training or school and that, then, it can't work.
I've got to say, during Mikey's introduction there, he mentioned the goals, and I just got a little sniff.
Nah, because I got a cold. It's cold outside, you know. It's cold.
Happy with them there?
No, to be fair, again, we had like Glenn Uddle, who is my favourite manager of all time, like best manager I worked with.
We're not doing the rundown yet, but
I know, but the goals part, it got better when I left because he used to make me do finishing on my own. So like he used to say, you get a lot of opportunities and your conversion rate's not great, so we'll go and practice. So I used to have me doing finishing. I'm like, I'm a defender. How important is this? And then left, obviously, to go to Everton. And then the following season, I scored 10 in 1 year. So it's crazy.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, mad.
And saying that, I look at defenders and you were talking about certain people being wired up differently. I think defenders are wired up differently. You know, like in training, they'll block one clear off the line and it's like they celebrate like it's a goal, right? So I'll ask you, right, what is better feeling? Scoring a goal or clearing one off the line? Because you've done both.
Ooh. Clean. Depends what game it's in.
It doesn't take this long to answer the question.
Nah.
The hardest thing to do in football is put the ball in the back of the net.
Is it the hardest thing nowadays?
It's the hardest thing to do.
How many clean sheets do you see nowadays? You don't see many clean sheets.
The ball changes all the time. The rules change all the time.
Yeah, to be fair, as I said, for me, it was different because depending on what game, there's going to be goals that mean a lot more to me than clearances. If it's 3-0, we're up 3-0 and I'm clearing it, then it's just a clearance, isn't it? But if it's 0-0, you know what I mean, then it obviously means a lot more.
You know, he just wanted you to talk about it being really hard to score goals.
I know he did, but I'm
no, not at all. I'm just saying, it's like I've played with defenders. I've had 18 clubs.
Okay, how many goals you scored?
130, 142.
And how many goal line clearances you got?
Oh, I've got a few.
Exactly, but not the same. No, we're near the same ratio.
I don't celebrate, but I'm talking about in training as well. Like you score a goal in training, and you're seeing defend like Neil Collins, Jody Craddock. Oh, they're high fiving that. Oh, well done! And it's like
I didn't get that. To be fair,
yeah, you're
celebrated in training.
Cool, calm, collected. But I'm just saying, like when you score the goal and like you're running and you're celebrating, the feeling inside is better than any clearance or that. You know that last ditch challenge on Messi as he's going through and you go boom.
That never happened. He normally went through. But again, it's different. Like I never got carried away with either. To be fair, I do.
Did you get carried away by anything?
He's too calm, isn't he?
I'm not laid back, but I'm just, as I said, I learned to kind of not. I've got good people around me, so I couldn't get carried away. So I just kind of dealt with it.
You spoke about your mum being a massive part in it. Like, so what brought you to Wolves? What was
her? No joke. Like mum, dad, brother, sister was young, so she was obviously about wife, been together for forever. But mum basically was at Wolves 12s, 13s, and then they wanted me to play at the back. I said, nah, I'm not. I don't want to play a defender. I don't want to be a defender. So I wasn't enjoying it. So I said, I'm not going to come back. No hard feelings. Plus, them times you couldn't play for any other team. You only could play for the school and the academy team, which I didn't like to do. I wanted to play 2 games on a Saturday, 2 games on a Sunday. They was saying nah. So I said, cool, I just won't play. Go and play with my mates for a couple of years. And then get into the last year of school. So that was like, say, year 8, 9, year 11 now. And our school team was pretty decent. So we all kind of writ off for a trial at Derby. Generic trial, all got in. 100 kids got, and then 2 of us got through to the academy team. Got in. First game of the season was Wolves. And Chris Evans, who had still been speaking to my dad throughout the time I'd been away, said he would like him to come in and do work experience, which Derby had already said I could do work experience there. So get 2 weeks off school, First week was at Wolves, second week was at Derby. Came to Wolves, did the work experience. They offered me a YTS, and I was going to Derby then to kind of see what they was going to say. Offered me a YTS or scholar. My mum said, but you've got to have to leave to go to Derby. You're going to have to go into digs, which isn't happening. So we won't go to Derby. You're going to Wolves, kind of thing. So I didn't have a choice. I was signing for Wolves, whether I liked it or not. That was it. I used to get the bus from Birmingham or the train every morning, which was a bit of a trek. My kids don't want to walk to the shop now, where I'm saying I have to get up at like 6 every morning, and it's cold.
So it wasn't a great love for the club. It was the love from your mum that made you come.
Yeah, it was the fact that I wasn't allowed to move to live in digs. So, and there's people that obviously living in digs. I could have lived in digs in Wolverhampton and been okay, but she was like, nah, you're travelling. You're going to have to travel, so get your bus pass.
Did that help in a way, though? Especially when you got into the first team group, that you kind of had that level of independence?
It was funny, because I remember one of my first games, I think it might be my first game, the only stipulation she had, if I was here on a night, so like reserve games, they would give me a taxi. So Wensfield Taxis, shout out to them, to be fair. They used to have an account and they used to give us taxis home. So I used to be able to get a taxi home after the game. But once you're a pro first team, you can't get a taxi. So I remember after one of the games, my mum and that had gone. And they assumed I was getting a taxi because obviously they didn't want to wait after. I couldn't drive, young and 17. But I couldn't get a taxi. I didn't have the money to get a taxi, so I just got the bus home after the first team game. I remember just sitting on downstairs. I didn't want to sit upstairs because I was in my suit from the first team game, so I was just sitting downstairs in my suit on the bus and that going home. I said, I need to change this. I need to sort myself out. So not long after that, I passed my test.
I love that, though, because it's like you hear stories of like the players in the 50s and 60s getting the bus.
It was just mistiming. Again, no mobile, so I couldn't phone and say turn round. Not that they probably would have turned round anyway, but yeah, so let's get the bus home.
Because there's a great story. We were mentioning Terry Connor on the podcast, and he told the story of his first meeting with you, where you were running down the canals and you stopped to be sick.
That was but again, he's seen that. I didn't know he'd seen that. So that was kind of the base of our relationship, or the core reason why he kind of did what he did, push me. And I didn't know. So for years, I'm thinking he doesn't like me. He hates me and all this stuff. But obviously then when he explained what it was, I'm like, okay, now it makes sense.
But this is the thing about you as a character, even at that age, because for people who've not heard it, you stop and you're sick, and then he asks you if you're all right and if you need to go back and get looked after, and you were like, no, I'm all right.
Yeah.
And you finished the run. At what would have been like 16?
Yeah, 16. And like
16-year-old kid doing that.
Yeah, but to be fair, I got an older brother that played, so I kind of knew what it was about.
What you
anyway,
had to be.
Yeah, I knew that it wasn't easy. It wasn't a joke, and them things, like, as much as you might be surprised, it wasn't hard for me to do that. That was how it worked. If you stop when you can't go any further, and I could go further, so just wipe it off. And then it was not nice being sick to run. Yeah, obviously, them things ain't nice if you're pushing yourself that far. But like the mental side of it, I never really found that hard, to be fair.
See, but I think that's the difference. I think even now, like when we're training now, it's like you set yourself targets and you break them, and then even when you get there, you think, I've not pushed myself hard enough, and you'll do, like you say, you do that extra one, and you'll run that extra couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But back in the day, I think the managers used to think, once you're sick, that's me, I've got you now. That's a sick. Let's kick on now. It's just that there's a harshness that kind of prepares you for. In football, the football world is harsh, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you've got sons, and it's like they have to be ready for when that challenge comes to them, and it's all about the mindset and the application and all that for them to go. Because even if they've got the ability,
it's not.
But this is what I'm saying. It's like you've come into a youth team with lots of quality there, and you must, and you were levels above even at that age. TC's seen that you've had the mindset to kick on, and that's why he was hard on you, because he's seen the quality straight away. He didn't want you to fall short of where you could go.
Yeah,
and you've probably surpassed where he thought you could go, because you've taken it all.
Yeah, maybe, because I'd kind of surpassed where I thought. Again, you Villa fan growing up, just thinking about playing football, and the dream was, can I play for Aston Villa? Not can I go and play for England? Can I win the Premier? Them things are not dreams. No one dreams of that. You just dream of being a footballer and playing for the team that you support.
Yeah.
So to kind of do that, all that, and some, like, it's only game. You'll know when you retire. That's when you look and think, oh yeah, I've done that. It's quite cool.
Yeah.
It's quite cool. But when it's going on, it's like, what it is, what it is. Yeah.
Looms mentions that youth group though. I know you weren't all quite the same age.
Yeah.
But Matt Murray,
Yeah.
Lee Naylor, yourself, Keith Andrews, that's a phenomenal group of players.
Yeah, and Robbie had obviously just graduated because I've trained Robbie twice. I think before he went to Coventry. Yeah, so I just luckily got to kind of see that. But yeah, the Wolves youth system then was decent. Like that. Again, the setup was different in terms of who you played. But I remember we got to a few finals in the youth age groups and that. But yeah, Nails, Matty. I didn't play with Nails' youth team. He was already in the first team. But the fact that I'm left-sided centre half and he's left back and we're not. He's a lot older, but mentally he's not. But yeah, no, we kind of just obviously connected straight away. And I played with Matty, like youth team. I was kind of in Matty's age group.
Yeah.
Again, I touched on it before. I used to come in from schoolboy days, so I'd played games with Matty and stuff like that.
Was that something that you were well aware of, that being in that environment and playing and, like you say, winning cups and things like that, that there was a real chance for you to get promoted to the first team because it had happened? Was that because it was in that environment, or do you not really think about it? You just think about playing games? Or?
Yeah, both. I remember one article. That's funny. Did an article. Remember the Sports Argos?
Yeah,
the pink paper on the Saturday. I don't know if you know. Like, you used to come out on the weekends and that. Just
like Saturday night thing.
Yeah, but is it like Midlands based stuff? It's not everywhere, is it? It's like, so. Did an interview, like we know when you do the pictures at the start of the season, everyone's doing like the pictures for the team photos and all that, and I want to do an interview, and I think it must have been my second season, so I'm 16 at the time, and I think I just played against Liverpool in the pre-season friendly, and that was my first game, so I'm 16, played it. I think it was like Robbie Fowler, Emil Heskey and all them, Michael Owen and that. So it was weird. And funny story in that was we're sitting on the bench and number 28 is going on for Liverpool. And now I said, he's decent him. I played with him when we were 18. Said, what's his name? He said, his name's Steven Gerrard. I was like, yeah, I mean, look out for him. So obviously he went on to do kind of what he did. But so going back to the interview, we had the signing session. So I've played the game. So I'm 16, which doesn't happen all the time. And then they've asked me what kind of my thoughts are. So I was just like, just obviously play well, hopefully play some reserve games and potentially be around the first team at Christmas. Thought nothing of it. Go back to the youth team. Lads bantering me like, but it weren't just like banter as in jokes. It was like serious. You shouldn't say that. You can't. I'm thinking, what have I said that was that bad? I've said I just want to be in around the first team. And then I thought, wow. One, don't say it before it's happened, but I'm going to make it happen. And then I think it was January, because it was a Millennium year. That's how I know it was. Millennium year. I remember everyone talking about what they do Millennium. I said, I'm not going out. I was like, what? I said, nah. So I went to my aunties with now my wife. I was in bed for like 12:30 because I knew we were running the next day. I was at the front of the running. The following week we played Norwich. I was on the bench. My first game, and I thought, I'm willing to sacrifice whatever it is in order to kind of get where I need to go. And I never kind of brought up the interview, but I always thought that was like a subconscious trigger to kind of get there after I'd said it like 5 months before.
Because you had one of those kind of meteoric rises, really, where like you sometimes see young players, they kind of come in, maybe on the bench for a while, they might get 1 or 2 games, then they're out of it. It's like your first season, you played like 44 games.
Yeah, again, it just didn't know. I was unaware that how other people do it and what the norm was. It was just, we played all the pre-season games. I think the last one was Southampton at home, and then it was Sheffield Wednesday at home in the league. And Colin Lee's reading the team out before the game, and I didn't even have a clue like what it would mean, what I would feel like. I just thought, it's a game. Am I going to play? If I'm not, it's fine. If I am, it's fine.
Well, you were that mature that even at that age you thought, right?
No, I don't know if I was mature. I wouldn't say that. But I just think, I just didn't know. just naive to the whole concept of like that wasn't a thing. Now imagine someone 17 making their debut now. Before the game, they're getting all the press, all the stuff. Like that didn't happen. It was just like, even if someone plays the preseason games, he gets hyped. That didn't happen. There was no interviews. There was no bits in the program at the time. It was just, if he plays, he plays. If he doesn't, he doesn't. So then when he read my name out and all the lads are giving me high fives and that, I'm thinking, okay, this is cool. And then I phone my mum and dad and brother and stuff and tell them I'm playing tomorrow. And then obviously, the kind of rest is history.
Would you say that? Well, you were ready for it, but like, was there moments in that season that you then thought, I need to work on this.
Oh, 100%. I'm so glad.
Like you weren't the finished article, but you were the next level. You come in at that age with characters, big characters as well. But there was times where you must have been tested that you thought, am I good enough? That doubt, am I good enough to be here? Or
well, there's two stories. Once was the first time I kind of went to play with the first team, train with the first team. Like every young pro, it's a game. It's the most important game of your life. You're not going there just like training mentality. It's like game. This is like game mode. So I'm trying my hardest. And then Kevin Muscat gets the ball. And naturally, I was quite strong. Anyway, like 14, 15. So he gets the ball. I brush him off the ball. He kind of stumbles. Everyone starts laughing and that. I'm like, well, I'm just trying to win the ball. And then this happens again. Like he now thinks, oh, let me show him. So I'm thinking, I just need to win this ball. I need to win this ball. So he tries to come in again. I'll do it again. But now I've kind of pushed him on the floor. And everyone's like, ooh. He comes to me and says, if you do that again, I'll effing break your legs. I was like, oh. Now it's real. So I kind of realised early that was the kind of mindset that obviously professionals have. But then going back to, did I realise, or the first time I realised was, it might be my second season, when Fulham were the team. Fulham had John Tigana, manager. They were unreal.
Lewis Sahara and that.
I'll bring him up. So they was 10 games, I think. They'd won 10 or 9. Goal average was 2 a game, something like that. We're playing them at Molineux. And so I'm focused. I'm thinking, like I need these some massive games. Lewis Sahara, Burmourte and stuff like that. 0-0. I get man of the match. So I'm not thinking I've made it on that, but I'm thinking, good. And then we played them 3 weeks later in the Cup at Craven Cottage. And I'm not thinking it's going to be the same, but I'm not thinking they're going to up their level to what they upped it to. And he ruined me. Like, ruined me. Him and Burmourte, it was 3-0. He scored a pen with his right foot, scored a free kick with his other foot. Burmourte, like, the ball come to me, flicked it round me one side, span the other, and I was just like, oh my God. So that was the first time I realised there's another level to players that you're going to play against. So I need to kind of adjust everything I was doing. So I changed my diet a little bit. I changed my training program just because I'd never experienced somewhere where no matter how hard I was trying, it wasn't going to work. So
was that something that you done to yourself, or was that something that you were quite vocal about to your coach, manager, or what? Right, I need to look at this, because obviously you have a debrief anyway. Yeah. So obviously after that game, they look and think, right, okay, well, that can't happen again. But you knew.
I knew that time. But and to be fair, Connolly was great at the time. Like, I was distraught in the dressing room. I was thinking, I'm gonna have to retire. Like, I'm never gonna recover from this. And he just said to me, like in front of everyone, do not get upset with that. That happens. You'll still be a good player, so just continue to do what you're doing. And it helped at the time, but I knew then there was more to it than just the innocence of, oh, I love it, you love it, let's just go and play. Yeah. Nah, there was more to it.
Because you had this unbelievable run where I think you were like the supporters' young player of the year for like your first 2 seasons. You were PFA team of the year from 0102, 0203. You were player of the year in the year that we got promoted, which like
I don't know. I didn't know them. I still got the stuff up and that. They still got the balls, because Wolves used to give us like glass balls and stuff. So I still got them. They're out in the house, to be fair now.
But it's like, because that's the one that like struck me when I looked that up. That you had a team that had like Ince,
Yeah.
Ray, Kennedy.
Kind of Cameron was decent as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
and
decent,
like
Cabs.
people always go towards strikers for these things,
Yeah.
but you was the young central
Yeah,
defender.
I know. It was weird. I started to realise then that because John Ward, obviously one of the coaches here, I always used to say I could play up front. I always said I can play up front. I know I can. Like put me up there. I would do something, but obviously I couldn't. So kind of I always believed that defending I enjoyed as much as strikers scoring goals. Like 1v1 was the best thing. I used to love being 1v1 because it was just me versus them. But then also there was bits of me that I could do that. Not every centre half was doing at that time. More people are doing it now. So I think that's why it probably got more recognition, and the fact that there wasn't many defenders trying to play or trying to. And funny enough, I couldn't kick the ball that far. So passing was a lot easier for me on the floor and between the lines and stuff than clipping it down the line, because I couldn't gauge the way to pass. I didn't have it, and it was terrible. So I used to develop that stuff more.
But what was it like being in that dressing room? Because when Paul Butler came in, he was quite vocal about the fact that the dressing room that he first arrived into was like a law unto itself.
Yeah.
Like Steve Sedgley going off doing different pranks and things and all sorts of stuff around. We'll get to that on the podcast extra. But like, then you get these incredible like legends of the game. Dennis, like playing alongside Dennis Irwin.
No, them two, Dennis Irwin and Ince, I would say, are probably the biggest influences. Butts was great, but Butts was great because he only like encouraged me to do well. Where Ince and Dennis, like if I was doing like shit, or we can swear, right?
Well, yeah, we might bleep it.
Yeah. If I was poor, they would tell me. Like there was this patch of just before the summer, before the season before I left, in the January, I was going for a tough time, and we were coming back from Plymouth, and it wasn't a tough time because I was just was playing crap, and Ince pulled me and said, "You're doing too much. You're doing too much. Everything." He said, "Just simplify it and don't worry about any of this, any of that. What's going to happen in the future?" He said, "Just concentrate." And he wasn't that polite as I'm being here now. And I was just like, I needed that. And then literally from that, it just helped me settle down and just regain the kind of level and composure and consistency I had before, and what the reason why people were speculating about me moving.
Yeah, on the other side of that, I think that a player could go the negative way, like if the way that Ince came and he spoke, that could put someone in their little shell and keep them. But again, it's him knowing the character that you are, and like maybe he's been there, he's done that, hasn't he?
I don't think he cared. He cared enough. I think he cared enough to tell me.
Yeah,
but I don't think he was scared of the reaction that I was going to give, because that's Ince. And again, I still speak to Ince. A few decisions throughout my career I called Ince on. But yeah, no, in terms of like the way I looked at him, the respect I had for Ince was crazy. Like the game in Italy when he had the bandage, I remember watching that kind of. I was at a training that night, and I was thinking, can I wear a bandage in training, like to kind of just be like Ince? Because again, I wanted to be midfield, and then so many years later, with teammates, it's just weird. It's just weird to think like that.
We'll talk about this, and this must be probably one of the only negatives, right? And it's you get promoted, you win Player of the Year, you don't play in the Premier League, injury. How must that be the mental side of it, the physical side of it? Because it's got to be one of the worst things not being able to just go out and train, never mind play.
Yeah, at the time it wasn't that bad because I'd never been injured, never missed games, and I didn't know, never played in a Premier League, so what was I missing? I'd missing something I'd never done before, so there was nothing to worry about. It was the injury was more serious than I was led to believe at the time. Something I kind of had to then monitor throughout my career. And again, Duck Perry, it was great. He kind of, someone that again, I think the people that knew who I respected could speak to me in a certain way. I remember he come to me and said to me on the training ground, "You put too much weight on. You need to lose a lot of weight. These are the reasons why. This injury is not something that you'll just get over in a year. This is career threatening." So again, I believed him enough to say, yeah, cool, I'll change diet, everything lifestyle to kind of get back to where I was before, but also have the mindset of if I can get the pain away, then it's not going to prevent me from doing anything. If there's pain, then obviously, yeah, you might. But I got to a level where the pain was minimal, so I could start playing to what I was before. But yeah, it was great to see likes of Arsenal and then boys come in and stuff like that to Molineux. But I didn't miss anything because I'd never played against them players or in the Premier League.
Would we have stayed up if you were fit?
It's hard to say that. I don't know. You don't know, because I think the next year, did we play Arsenal in the Cup? And I think one of the coaches said that to me. We would have had a better chance of staying up. So I'd like to think so. I'd like to think we'd had a better chance. I'd like to think I could help the team. But it was funny how it changed, because it went from the physios to Dave Jones, manager, at the start of the season saying, take your time, don't rush, be careful and that. And then it got to October and there was a real bad run of form. And it was like, how long? It went from take your time to how long you're going to be to kind of your fitness. And again, due to the medicine side of it and the structure, then it was terrible. And no, that's not a disrespect. I had an operation in July. And they said, well, if you do the rehab, you'll be back on the pitch in November. So the fitness coach at the time took it as he'll be fit in November. So I didn't do anything, minimal work. And then the last 2 weeks of October, I'm on the treadmill. And I'm like, okay, but I'm being told this is what it is. I don't know any different. And then my first day training, I've done it again, same injury. And then that's when I kind of paid attention. Adi Akinbaye kind of said to me, see this guy, which is Stedman, who's done Van Nistelrooy, R9, kind of done all their surgery, but also not the surgery. I'd given them a plan and structure. And then luckily for me, Kempy came to the club at that time as well. So it kind of just matched and mirrored each other perfectly.
So what was the actual knee injury then? Was it cruciate then? Or
lateral. Yeah, my lateral meniscus. So the outside of your knee.
Yeah, I've got lateral. That's what I've had it.
So with the cartilage.
Yeah.
They just took it out.
Yeah.
Straight away. So normally you get it shaved down, it's not rubbing on bone.
So you have no cartilage.
But I had never had it from 20.
Unbelievable.
From 20 years old. So that it was just bone on bone.
Yeah.
Doing that, but basically what they did was, it's called a microfracture. So they drilled the holes in the bone, in the back of your bone. It bleeds and it causes a scab, and then that's supposed to be act as a cartilage. But again, so basically it's the same operation as Jamie Redknapp and remember David Thompson from Liverpool and Blackburn.
Yeah.
It's funny enough, we had our operation the same day. Me and David Thompson, so we seen each other in the hotel, and obviously we going to the thingy, and the same operation, same day, and then a couple of years later, he's having to retire because he can't cope. So that was when it kind of got serious.
Did that cost you though? Because you stayed for a couple of seasons extra, and nowadays, if a team went down and they had a player like you were at that time, all the big clubs would have been coming in.
It cost me because I had to prove fitness, and it wasn't a one season. I didn't miss a game then. When I got back into the team after the injury, so I was out for a year. I think for just over 4 seasons, I didn't miss a game.
You played 93 games in the next 2 seasons for Wolves.
Yeah.
Having not played a single one in that.
And then went to Everton and played 130 something games for them consecutive. So, but it was still to the end of my career. The doubt was, he's not. But so I just knew that my game time was going to be my medical kind of thing. In terms of when people are doing scans and they're saying you can't play, and then I'm saying, well, he's played 97 games I'd played more games than anyone in the league, apart from goalies kind of thing. So I kind of just knew that I just had to make sure that I was fit enough.
Because didn't Everton make you do an extra?
Oh, it's horrendous.
Extra medicals.
Yeah, so I'd gone there to do a medical, and normally did the stuff, and just assuming that it takes a few days. 5-6 days later, it's not confirmed. So I'm like, cool, I just won't go. Come on, I said to my agent, it's not happening. And I'd booked to go on holiday, so I was going on holiday. Say 5 days after, after the medical, and then I'd had to delay that, so I'd missed like 3 days of my holiday. I was just like, I'm just going home. But literally on the plane, as I landed, I had a text message from him and said it's done. So like obviously I just landed on holiday and they'd agreed to sign me kind of thing. So, but yeah, that was a part of it.
Because you mentioned a little bit on the podcast talking about Jez Moxey and how your kind of move away came around, because that summer was like a big summer of change. Glenn left. When we had Mark Kennedy on, he talked about the fact that he would have stayed if Glenn Hoddle had stayed.
Yeah.
But he ended up going. I think Nails went.
Nails, Kenny had left.
Would you have stayed, or was it time for you to go?
Would I have stayed? I wouldn't. I can't say I would have stayed in the Championship, because again, I wanted to be the best I could be, and I was doing what TC said I was gonna do in terms of picking up bad habits and doing things you can't get away with at the highest level, and I was doing them regular and getting away with them because I could.
Yeah.
So I was at a stage where it was great and it was enjoyable, but to be considered or to get the full potential, you have to do it against the best, and I knew I had to move on.
Was there a choice of clubs?
I don't think so. I think David Moyes had watched me over 50 times in them 2 seasons, so I kind of was aware towards the back end of the second season they were keen.
You knew exactly what he was getting.
And it was funny because I think I'd only had a year left on my contract, and this was part of the reasons why I signed, because the timing of me getting fit to do my contract wasn't great for the club. So Jez said, if you sign, obviously you'll get more money, but we'll get more money. So it kind of helps us out. And people were around me saying, my agent and that was saying, baby, if you sign, it's more money. Teams might not want to pay it. So I think I went to Everton for like 5 million, but Arsenal potentially would have paid 3 million, which I would have been at if I didn't re-sign my new contract. But I was like, nah, I can't just do that and just go for 3 million, even though potentially going to Arsenal at that stage. But I don't regret signing or moving to Everton at all.
Well, you helped the club out after that because your move to Man City. I think there was
there's a seller there. Yeah, there's a seller to be. Yeah, just told me about that.
Yeah. And of course, you went on to amazing moments after that. Is there ever a part of you that kind of wished, when Wolves got up to the Premier League, that they could have got to a level that could have brought
100%. When I was leaving City and I went to West Brom, the main focus for me leaving City was working with a British manager. I worked with a foreign manager for a number of years, and their perception of the game, the ones that had come into the Premier League, not the ones that had worked in the Premier League, because they kind of knew it, but the perception of new foreign managers that were coming in, coaches, oh, this is how it works. I'm like, it doesn't kind of work that way here. It's different. It's not like Italy or kind of Spain where every team plays the same way and the best team at playing that way wins. Teams don't care. They're just playing to win or not lose even, you know what I mean, which managers and players can't grasp. So I had to work with a British manager, and then I got a call from Alan Irvine, who was a great coach for me at Everton, because I couldn't stand playing left back, and he helped me a lot in time mentally, because it was that bad, like in terms of playing left back. We had 2 left backs at Everton so I couldn't even train there. So it's not like I could do that in training and then go and play in the games. I'd have to play centre half all week in training, train as a centre half, and then just go to the game and just play left back. And because the manager kind of knew I didn't want to play there, he wouldn't try and insult me by trying to coach me as a left back. So there was no coaching, there was no playing there, no practicing. It was just like play centre half all week training. Come to Saturday, I knew my name was going to be called a left back. So that was the reason why I went to West Brom. But funnily enough, I got a call from Jez at the time. I was like, gutted we're just not in a place to kind of sign. I said, Jez, it would have been done instantly. But the club wasn't in a position to kind of re-sign me.
Because, right, we're massively over, so stay with us because we've got to get this point on the main show.
Yeah.
Why Albion?
I know. Yeah, as I said, it was just that. It was just the fact that I wanted to work with someone who I knew I could trust again. And I wasn't like trying to disrespect Wolves. There was no like, well, let me prove anyone wrong or right kind of thing. It was just Alan Irvine was the massive reason for that. I was close to going to Stoke because it was Mark Hughes as well. But again, I just was at a stage where I just wanted to work with someone I knew. Like, I only worked with Mark Hughes like 6 months. He signed me at City and then got sacked in December. So as much as I'd respected him and admired him, I didn't know him that well, where I'd worked with Alan for 3 years. Yeah. So I kind of knew what I was getting. He knew what he was getting. And Keith Downey was there. So, and Rob Kelly was there, who was first youth development officer. So it just felt right to kind of go there. As I said, it wasn't a West Brom thing. It was just the people in place that made me sign there.
Okay. We've got loads more to get out of Joleon Lescott on this episode of the Old Gold Club. The full extended podcast will be available to download from all the usual places. Make sure you do that. Thanks for watching.